I think last some reason. I don't know why. So I'm checking it right now. But
well, at least we got our one visit from Ark. He
yeah,
dropped a quick hello, so we know somebody saw it.
right. Well, yeah, he needs his own show. He needs to go around to every podcast. He should just become famous for the first person like clicking in on a podcast. But this is our end of the year show. I did an end of the year with Ken and the gang yesterday.
Not to be confused with Cool and the Gang.
Right, but I think a Ken and the gang, I think a Cool and the Gang record cover, but all your faces on it instead, called Ken and the Gang, would be my favorite art ever.
That's a poster in the making.
Yes. But no, that was a fun show. I was a
little sad that Demetrius wasn't able to join us, but
yeah. But I think you guys, I think you have it right to just have a set time, because you have so many people that people will show. You know what I mean? Like, they'll show up more, because then it just becomes I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. So for 2023, we're putting out the idea of setting a date once a month, and whoever gets on from the five of us gets on. We get our episode out there, get it recorded, get it shared,
and keep me and John on the short list if you have an emergency. If it's just Ken shows up and there's crickets,
Ken and the crickets.
Now, so you guys must have, Anthony must have he must have the paid Zoom account, because it didn't kick us after an hour.
Yeah,
Okay. Because that's what Zoe has, because she's in college, but I don't know how quick Temple is to, get rid of your account. So she'll have to move to this format here, I guess.
Which is so much better.
Huh?
This is so much better than Zoom.
Yeah. And I don't think price-wise, I think it's about the same.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this has some fun features, and we're able to go 4.5 hours without getting booted.
Right. Well, and if you don't mind having your live, recording live, that's kind of nice too, in a way.
Well, you can also do it. You can also record. You don't have to go live.
Without being live.
Yeah.
I
played. So you can do
the...
this like a full-on Zoom call then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't realize. Okay.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I probably did at one point, and then I'm, but I got the chat turned on, so hopefully someone shows up. And so we want to talk 2023. We're not going to go as cool as you did, Ken, like month to month. That was some pretty cool notes. That was some good notes.
Yeah, that was a nice combined effort. Anthony put together some stuff. I threw some stuff together, and we roared through the 12 months. And when you do it that way, it's incredible to look at how much stuff actually came out last year, whether you're talking about the art of books or the video games. And we didn't break it down. We could have done it by if we included comic issues. Holy cow, it would have taken probably another 1.5 hours, 2 hours to go through each issue of all those things. And
I wish I could keep up with the comics. Even as a comic book guy, I can't. It got away from me at the pandemic. Like, there was just so much. It was like a car payment to keep up with the comic books. So that's, but yeah, there's so much content, and I think the stuff that I try to keep up with, but I can't, is the High Republic. I have a feeling that I'm going to kick myself for not being 100% caught up with that, because I think that it seems like that's getting more traction, like almost like a hidden traction. I think it's going to, for some people, it's going to feel like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, especially once they drop the live action Acolyte show.
Yep.
I think as soon as that hits Disney Plus, folks like you and me and John are like, well, why didn't we read the 19 novels and 4,700 comic books?
Yeah.
Right.
Who is this Trandoshan Jedi with one arm, and what's the creepy thing that they're fighting against? Was it the Grenger? And where did Geode come from?
And
Give me
Geo.
Geo's backstory.
I still think he should be played by The Rock. I'm just saying, you know. After I tried to watch, what was it, Black Adam the other day?
Mm-hmm.
I tried.
Didn't like it.
I just couldn't get through it. I was like, I like Dr. Fate. Okay, this is a Marvel, or I mean, it's Marvel DC. I like Dr. Fate, and I like Dr. Fate's comic book, but Dr. Fate suffered from he got stolen. Doctor Strange stole his thunder before, you know what I mean? Because Doctor Strange is a comic book before the movies came out. I don't know anyone that liked Doctor Strange, you know, and he was not like he is in the movies, you know. So
right,
Dr. Fate was, and then so now you're watching, you're like, oh, Dr. Fate looks like a copy of, and Hawkman was cool, but again, the Hawk World story of the '80s was so cool. I'm surprised they didn't try to do that. It was good. I just have to finish it, but it was moving a little, not, you know.
Yeah, the pacing is. Eh.
And him being saved at the beginning. Spoiler if you haven't seen it.
It came out 3 months ago.
Seemed very Thor-like from Thor, the first Thor movie.
Yes.
Like that seemed almost, you know. But anyway, back to Star Wars. But yeah, the High Republic stuff, I think there's going to be so much out there. So.
And I'm still, one of the things we had talked about last night, we briefly touched on the art of the High Republic. And I'm still impressed with the amount of effort they put into making an art of book for something that is mostly literary, mostly just text.
Do you think do you think part of that is because we are getting lifelong fans now doing a lot of the work? Like if you were asked to write a Star Wars book in the 90s when they first came out, right? So if you were an established author when did the first Star Wars novel come out? Like 90 or 89?
The first Star Wars novel?
The novel that was beyond the movies. Was it Heir to the Empire? When did that come out?
No, there was the Star Wars novelization by Dean Allen Foster. That came out before the movie came out.
Right, but I'm saying before, like I'm saying not related to the movies that were just.
Oh, so that would have been Heir to the Empire.
Yeah, and that was what, like early 90s, late 80s?
No, I think it was way earlier than that. Let me do a quick search. I apologize. I feel like a fake fan.
I was thinking like between 88 and 92 is what was sticking in my head, but
91.
You're right, 91. Wow, I didn't realize it was that late.
But so I'm saying, if you were an established author and you wrote Heir to the Empire, you might not have. You've only been a Star Wars fan at the very maximum. You know what? Not too terribly long, from 77 to 92. Where now we have authors who have been Star Wars fans since they were writing fan fiction when they were kids, and so I wonder if that art of because they know the world. You know, like, and that.
Well, there's that part, and I also think if we do go back in time to the mid to late 70s, or even early to mid 70s, when George was coming up with the ideas for the first Star Wars movie, he started off with story notes, talked with Ralph McQuarrie and Colin Cantwell. They put pictures together and then went to the film studio saying, we want to make a movie that looks like this. Mm-hmm. So it might be what you're saying, and it might be a continuation of what's worked. I mean, they've combined story and picture ever since the beginning, and maybe it's just a little bit more intense and a little bit more focused. Because when you look at the early art of books, they're a lot rougher.
Yeah.
Than the ones now are beautifully curated, and there's just so much in there. Plus, they have a lot of the story behind the art and everything. Where before the early ones, it might have been bunches of pictures slapped together with small captions or and what have you. But there's a lot more attention to detail. So there's the sticking to the tradition of how Star Wars got created and taking it to that next place, because they know that folks like you and me and John and the Rad Batch and the Dad Batch and and a lot of the other fans, they'll gobble those books up. They look forward to them.
All the batches.
Yeah, all the batches.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it is so, I think of what was it, the Rebels, Art of Rebels was like a giant box with like lights on it and everything, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was the special edition.
Yeah. So yeah, that was, I mean, the books, that's the one thing. If I have a Star Wars New Year's resolution, it's going to be to just get a little more involved in the books. Like, because I'm just when it comes to I can read like behind the scenes and biographies, but when it comes to like the fiction, I tend to read it very slowly. And I do audiobooks on some of them, but that gets into my podcast time, and my podcatcher is like overflowing at the moment anyway. So, but John was listening to a podcast, so that made me feel good.
I've been actually listening to a few podcasts, so I've been trying to. I've been trying to take my New Year's resolution a little bit serious, a little bit early. So
yeah, that the guy from New Novos was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, I listened to both the Armor Party interview and I listened to the Star Wars Geek Girl interview.
Yeah, hers was a little more off the cuff, kind of.
Yeah,
and it was less about the New Novos and more about just his connection to Star Wars in general.
Yeah.
It was a great episode.
But that's what people like when I hear him, and he does a Monday night podcast on Rebels, which I never knew. He does his own Rebels podcast. So it's not that it's not a prerequisite. You can have a good Star Wars person who's not a Star Wars fan, but it is nice that someone made it. You know what I mean? In some way, shape, or form. And his story of going through different things. It's just neat to see that one of us made it out and got to do something fun with Star Wars.
Well, right. And I think it gives this show a little bit more hope that there's the possibility of some of those folks actually joining us for a half an hour or an hour at some point.
Yeah. But yeah, that was so that I mean that's I would say this past year, all the stuff we talked about with Anthony and all those guys yesterday, I think my takeaway for Star Wars is I feel like I had probably one of my most fun Star Wars related years in a long time, just in all different stuff, besides Celebration with our armor parties we had. I didn't get to troop as much as I wanted to, but we get to do this every week. Just some of the people I've met throughout the year. I just think this was a really cool Star Wars year.
Yeah, and it's only going to get better next year.
I hope so.
I think you were sharing my brain there for a second, John. Absolutely.
I'm just hoping I just get a pat. Zoe gets a panel. Then I'm going to London.
Or we get a panel.
Yeah, well,
think about that.
Or both.
Or both.
I don't know. I think I won't be surprised if this is Reed Pop's last one.
Yeah.
Like when I was talking to Jordan, he was saying that he's wondering if Disney will take over the Celebration stuff.
Who does Disney do D23? Is that
I believe so. I think
in-house kind of event?
In-house, yeah. I don't think Disney will do a bad job. I think my only worry is I think Reed Pop overall does. I mean, I know a lot of people like to beat up on him, but I think Reed Pop does a good job in the sense that they have they might have a better feel of the pulse of the fandom because they're not in the company. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Well, and I think there's less of a weirdness related to vendors.
Yeah,
because if you figure if Disney is doing it, would they be as open to having all those random vendors from around the world come in selling the Star Wars stuff that they do?
Yeah, that's true too. Though I besides the art people, I didn't really look at many of the vendors this year, only because I was like, I got anything I buy, I got to carry home on a plane. So
it's gonna be the same next year.
Oh yeah. Well,
unless you want to take it on a boat.
Yeah, well, I will have just enough time to go and get back to work without missing a single day of work. So They just changed our snow policy, so we do not lose a single day for spring break. It's added on the year.
So before we get into talking too much about next year, what are the pieces of 2022? What do you say are some of the highlights that you really want to call attention to?
Personally, or like
Both.
just like
both?
Oh boy, I think like content wise, my highlights probably Kenobi. But I mean, like we all know what my personal highlight is that I finally joined the 501st.
I was going to say, John, you had a big year this year for Star Wars. I think besides that, you got your dad in Krennic and got him to a con.
I got him officially applied now too.
Nice. Oh, geez, man.
And you interviewed him on your show.
Yeah.
Yeah. My God, thinking back on the year, it has been a very eventful year. Because I mean, if looking back at the start of the year, the first 3 months were kind of quiet, and then we started this show. We did our second shoot of the movie.
Yep.
Which we forgot to mention last night. I completely forgot about that until John just said it.
I don't think anything happened in April. Kenobi in May. We did our armor party in June. I joined the 501st in July. I don't think nothing in August for me.
Well, you started your first troop. You did some trooping.
My first troop was in September.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Then Andor, and I started my podcast in August. That's right. Yeah. No, I started in May, and
you started a new job.
And I started a new job. That was August. Yeah, it's been a very eventful year.
I think what we should make sure we do this year. And I know I'm flip flopping between, recap of last year and looking into 2023. I think we should do a better job of capturing those kind of things, the things that we do each month. Because when you look at it all in that lump sum kind of way, it's quite incredible. All of the Star Wars related things that we've done and had so much fun doing. Because none of those things I look at go, oh, I wish I hadn't done that Star Wars thing.
Right. But that's what I'm trying to get our episodes loaded up into into Anchor, and I'm just right now with the one when we did a tour of Toga's house. Yeah, I forgot all about that. I was like, I forgot all about that big, and we had Matt Mickelson on twice, 2 weeks in a row. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
So it's as long as you appreciate it, it's okay to forget it, I guess. But we have way more Star Wars. Like imagine if we would have a time capsule of us talking in 1992 instead of 2022. Well, John wouldn't be alive, but we would have, we'd be excited that we get the buff figures. When did those things come out? You know what I mean? Like, I remember walking by a toy aisle in the 90s sometime and seeing Bendums, some of the ugliest.
That's a Chewbacca one.
And I was like, I just went and bought them. I was like, I haven't bought a Star Wars toy forever. I was like, I went and bought them. I got a Bendum. I bought a Bendum R2 because he had the third leg. That's why I bought it. So that's. I mean that, and I would say, to go along with what John was saying, like my Star Wars stuff was just, it was doing this podcast, meeting you guys, doing all that, plus me and Zoe at Celebration. Like we were running full steam ahead 20 hours a day, and the people we met and got to hang out with that. I still remember being in line for food and meeting that guy in the World War II Mandalorian armor. And I got to stand there and look at it for like an hour while I stood in line for my food, So, he had his nice Tommy gun looking like a blaster. So, and I mean, Andor, if I talk Kenobi long enough, that would be my favorite live action. If I talk Book of Boba Fett, it would be, they're all, I like them all for different reasons. It's hard, but Andor is one of those ones where I like, it was, and it's the last one, so it's the one clearer in my mind, but Andor was just so neat to watch. How about you, Ken?
Well, I got to spend more time in Batu. So Heather and I took a trip down to Florida this year, just the two of us. So as adults, we got to wander around and be there, um, which was fantastic. I mean, even though it wasn't just a Star Wars trip, being able to go into Oga's around breakfast time and have adult beverages without having to worry about where are the kids and what ride are we going on next. We can just be here and have fun doing that. So that was fantastic. And the one thing I did absolutely positively love about Andor was it showed that once again there's so much that's possible in the Star Wars galaxy, and it doesn't have to be like everything else that's come before it, and it can lead us to other great things.
Yeah.
So whether it's the animation stuff or the pieces that are filmed in stagecraft or in the volume, and then these big humongous places like Ferrex, it's just absolutely remarkable to think that this thing that started 40 plus years ago is still going strong, and I'd say that this might be the strongest that it's been in quite some time.
Yeah
Because they have things churning out in so many different ways. So they have the shows, they have the live action shows, they have the animation, they have the comic books, they have the novels, they have these short animated things like Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah.
With Ahsoka and Dooku. Those were 15-minute episodes, and I thought they were beautiful and rich and filled in some wonderful parts of the story and have us thinking about what could come after that, even though we kind of know where some of the bookends of those characters' stories are, at least related to Dooku. We don't know where Ahsoka's going to end up,
but the Dooku one made me like, oh, I wish I'll do some even younger Dooku. Because I never thought I'd really give two craps about Dooku. You know what I mean? And after seeing those, I was like, oh, I kind of would like to hear more about Dooku. But yeah, the Andor for me, and all the Star Wars to a certain point, but Andor was a weird one to watch because there's a lot of movies, Star Wars and other movies, where you can see the caliber of actor, and if they're going to have a main part or a little part. You know what I mean? Like, oh, here's some guy. Well, he's just a background character. He's not that great of an actor, so he's fine. In that show, every person could have been the leading person in that show. From Tim with 2 M's, that no one liked and he got shot. Spoiler if you didn't like Tim. That's my vote for 2022's least Star Wars name in a Star Wars show. I'm just telling you, that's one of mine, Ken, for the award show. Tim with 2 M's. But yeah, every actor was just nicer than the next.
Well, and what I think is funny about Tim and the other background characters in Andor, we want to know their story. We want to know what were they building in their shop, or where did they go? Like the two fishermen.
Yep.
Where did they go after they dropped Cassian and Melchi off at Space Miami?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, like, it's almost like they found a whole bunch of 2022 Harrison Fords and put them in all those roles. Like, you watch New Hope, like, I'm not knocking any of the other actors, but Harrison Ford, whether he likes to admit it or not, he really nailed that Han Solo. Whether it's an act, I mean, my main gripe with Harrison Ford is he's one of the few actors that feels, when you interview him, he acts like he's embarrassed of being an actor. You know what I mean? That's my take on him. But I felt like all those people give that same performance that he gave as Han Solo. and so you didn't know, like, is that person a main character? Because they're really acting it up, and then they're like, no, they're just there's someone's, that guy that the spy that got killed by the girl, that, in the bar or whatever. I don't know. It's just so good. And Obi-Wan, again, I'll just go back to Ajax Citizen, the first Star Wars show to have podcasters in it.
And hopefully not the last. So we got
Rexing Around had what? Rexing Around had Corey.
So I know Kathleen's listening to our show tonight, so she should figure out a way for us to either get in the Acolyte, because the Acolyte hasn't finished filming, or maybe one of the arcs of Andor.
They could just digitally put us in. They could just, you know what I mean? Just digitally put us in, and we'll be fine.
Well, if you're going to digitally put me in something, let me wave around a light stick and plug me into the arena battle from Geonosis.
I'll just be I'm just going to tell people I'm one of the TKs from. He's like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, see that armor? I'll just look for one that has like FX looking armor. Yeah, that's me.
Yep.
I can tell you, if I was ever in one of those, my armor would be put in a display case. Like, it'd be like.
Oh yeah, no, it'd be done. You could never wear it again.
Yeah, I'd be kicked out because I wouldn't have.
You wouldn't be able to get kicked out because you have screen. Yours would be screen used.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be able to troop in it. I wouldn't get my 1 year troop in.
See, that's when you just troop Vader.
That's true.
Well, you're going to be a 24/7 Vader.
Considering the way that some people troop, you put it on for 20 minutes, walk around the table, and then be done with it.
Yeah, I think in 2023, I want to do a lesson. I want to do an episode just on how to troop. I don't want to be gatekeepy or anything, but if you have 6 guys in costume that huddle around each other and talk to each other, that's not trooping. That's just standing in your armor with a bunch of your friends. So, but yeah, no, I mean, it's we could recap. We're going to recap because it's going to it'll all be on Anchor within the first week of the year. So
97 episodes.
2022. It's like, damn, they're going to be like, this must be a good show. Look how many episodes they got. Well, right now I have them all scheduled to come out on the 31st. But what I want to do is once I get them all loaded up, I'm going to try to have them come out like a minute apart. So it'll be like, boo, boo, boo. But that's, I just put them on the 31st just to kind of kick me in gear. But it's kicking my butt because it takes an hour to download one. Then I have to put it in iMovie, and iMovie is not the fastest when it comes to rendering stuff. So then while it's rendering, that it's just, and I had multiple windows doing it multiple times, and that's where I think Anchor got a little fudgy on me. So I can't do that anymore.
I'm telling you, man, just use a YouTube to MP3 downloader.
Yeah, I
just straight from YouTube.
I just want to. What I'm doing is I'm putting an intro in that intro I made. So when it goes on Anchor, it'll have the intro, and then I just cut the end off and put the outro on it. So
gotcha.
It's I might just do what you said after a while, but I downloaded off of YouTube as an MP, as an MP4 as the video. Then when I open it in QuickTime Pro lets me export it just as audio. But I don't export it as audio until I put the intro on, so it matches which now if we had anyone listening now, they're like, oh, I'm bailing. I'm gonna go watch whatever's on Wednesday.
So what I think would be fun to do, so it's kind of recappy, and it's not something that we do tonight, but it's something that we do in 2023. Is we do a count. We rewatch Andor.
Okay.
And it might be we have to divide it up because what I'm proposing may take some time. And we do a count of how many lies or examples of deception are in every episode, and who is the perpetrator of the lie.
I think the only one telling the truth in Andor is Saul Guerrero.
No, he's been involved in deception in that
Okay.
show. I think the only one I can't even say that B2 Emo is telling the truth because
no,
they made B2 Emo lie. So
right.
I'm struggling to find anyone who told. Well, maybe Cyril's mom. I don't think Cyril's mom lied.
I think she lied when she said she really cared about him. I think she was
Oh.
annoyed he came home.
Yeah.
Well, she sure was sarcastic. That's for sure.
I want to know the writer who wrote that, because somebody has a beef with their mother. Because that seemed like a very specific grating hate for someone.
Yeah, whose mom made fun of their clothes or
Yeah.
you know, their
Which,
posture.
that is a line. That is a line that still I don't understand when he talked about tailoring his own clothes.
Which part don't you understand?
No, I understand that why he did it and why he said it. I wonder if that's going to play in. Are we going to see him with his own like slightly cool uniform when he starts working for what's her face in season 2? Like, that seems like a line that has more weighing on it than just. It just doesn't. It doesn't seem a random line.
Well, I think it plays up the idea of, in some ways, even in a situation where you're striving to be perfect, be like everybody else, like you want to be in the empire or whatever, there still is that slight bit of rebelliousness in it.
Yeah, but he didn't seem rebellious. He seemed like he liked that. Like, to me, it seemed like he did it as an improvement.
But even still, if it was a matter of following the rules to the T, he would have made sure that everybody's was like that, so that there was that consistency there.
Yeah,
this was showing that this was, I think, his rebelliousness was to show his superiority over the other folks who weren't as concerned about their appearance as he was.
Yeah, I'm just curious. That line. I don't know why that line sticks with me, but. So what's our predictions for 2023? What's our prediction? What's going to be your? What do you think? What are you looking forward to the most in 2023?
The Mandalorian, 100%. I think that's going to be my favorite show of the year.
For me, it's Mando. It's tied Mando and Bad Batch.
Yeah,
I think Bad Batch is going to tie into, somehow in my head, they're going to tie it into the sequel trilogy.
I think, like, for me, is Ahsoka coming out in 2023?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think Ahsoka only because of the Sabine thing. But every time I see Mando, it reminds me how much I love that show. Like, everything about it. I've rewatched. I would say my most rewatched Star Wars as of late has been Mando season 1. I don't know why. It's just, I turn it on and I get to the end and I should go on to season 2. I'm like, I think I'll watch that again. I like when he's taking out the Jawas, maybe because my girls were Jawas at the time. I like that scene. And I've been listening to all those Brendan Wayne interviews about that first season. And I think that maybe that's what kind of gets me a little bit too, you know. But yeah, I mean, mine's going to be Ahsoka because of Sabine, but I think Mando will be right up there. Bad Batch, but I think it's going to be Mando. Bad Batch was a week away, right?
Yeah. The next time we reconvene, there will be 2 episodes of the Bad Batch out.
Yeah, because they're doing 2 on the first day, correct?
Yep.
Spoils of War and Ruins of War are going to be the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, that should be good. It just makes all those make me just remember how great the Clone Wars were. Like you can't ignore the Clone Wars anymore. Like, up to a couple years ago, you could just be like, well, I just watched the movies, but so much is pinned on the Clone Wars. You're just missing out. Well,
and even with as much as we've seen in that era, there's still so much room for other stories.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I was so sad when the Clone Wars went away. I like the random ones. Like, you look back at the one-shot ones and stuff. Like, I liked some of those. It just didn't really connect to anything, or it didn't appear to connect to anything.
Or how about the really weird ones?
Yeah.
like the ones that like
Void.
Sunny Day in the Void.
Oh, I love the Void. I'm a droid junkie, but I love that. Oh, yeah.
And the really weird ones, like where they did the arc on Mortis,
Yep.
and Ahsoka died and came back, was brought back to life.
Yeah. Yeah. Or the diplomatic one, or no, the was it the one then? But you got to see Embo, you know,
Oh yeah,
the and the dragon,
the
the
Zillo
Godzilla,
Beast,
the gods, yeah, the Zillo Beast.
the Zillo Beast.
Zillo Beast. That one gets forgotten a lot. That was a good one too.
Yeah. I think half the reason, like, you can't ignore the Clone Wars anymore, obviously because they're tying everything into it now, but I think the other half of that would be, you know, all the people like my age and Zoe's age who grew up with the Clone Wars.
Yep.
I mean, you know, we loved it.
Yep.
And now I always said this is the same reason the prequels are more widely accepted now, is because the people it was made for, my generation,
Yep.
now can articulate properly, you know, why we enjoyed them, what is good about it. I think that's half the reason. Then you get bandwagon people like my dad who will
And you can
say
buy
they
the
always
stuff
loved it.
because now
And
you have your own money, you can buy the stuff instead
Well,
of just having your parents get it for you.
exactly.
and the prequels, at least when the people I knew when we first watched Phantom Menace, people loved it, and then there was just it didn't take as hold as much now, but it seemed like the negative people had a bigger voice online. Now they still have a big voice, but there's just as many positive people out there to counteract that.
Mhm.
I also think people just as they get older, they it's hard for them to accept that things might be slightly different. You know, like I see the things that people get upset about. And I'm like, yeah, you know, like I know Boba Fett, and we had a discussion last night about it. The Boba Fett thing is, I got the badass Boba Fett that I wanted out of the Mandalorian. You know, I mean, like I said last night, Boba Fett got knocked in the Sarlacc by a stick. You know, he wasn't as bad as they thought he. I don't think Mando would get knocked in the Sarlacc pit with a stick.
Well, his jetpack
Maybe.
works properly. His jetpack's made of Beskar.
That's true. But Mando got out of some pretty rough. I mean, Mando took a beating on the top of a moving troop transport without Beskar.
He
That's
got
true.
run over by a mud horde.
Yeah, you know. But
He
I'm
He got
also-
saved by a
he-
child.
yeah,
He also torched himself with the Darksaber.
that's true too. But you know, I mean, it can't be perfect. But no, I just it's just you got to accept that things change. I mean, that's what keeps it alive. If it stayed in that I would hate to see if they took any of the ideas that came out right after Return of the Jedi and made them today without letting them grow. You know, I would hate to see what those movies look like. You know, because if you look at some of the novels, man, they would have been some really Luke with 2 U's and
Well, how about the clone Emperor Palpatine?
yeah.
Or even there was a trilogy of books with Boba Fett, and those were pretty wild in and of themselves.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. We got Clone Emperor Palpatine already, though.
Well,
I just want to see if you noticed that.
he wasn't cloned from Luke.
Yeah,
It's true.
yeah, Luke.
Luke.
Yeah.
And then we have to get off this topic or we'll lose everyone. But I really don't like Mara Jade as a character.
Really?
What?
I just she just seems very 90s character to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like if you look at Princess Leia, you're like, well, that was written. You can't say that was written in the 70s. You know, with her, I'm like, yeah, that seems like a 90s comic book-esque kind of, you know. But
Well, even George said that the makers make things based on their experiences, and they're made at the time that they're made, that they're made. So if you look at Gilroy's Andor, and he was a big history guy, and
Right.
studied revolutions, and incorporated the idea of revolutions and fascism, and crazy overreach of governments. And George had the Vietnam conflict in there. He had
Yep.
references to Nixon and Ronald Reagan, and
Yep.
so I think there's always going to be that piece to it.
But if you do your homework, you can do it without being dated.
Yes.
That's because if you look at any movie that came out in 1977, just look at the hairstyles. Just cut Han Solo's and Luke's hair out, and then look at any other movie, and you can tell they're from the 70s. You wouldn't be able to pick that from Luke and Han.
Mm-hmm.
Now maybe if you took some of the X-wing pilots, you could probably pick,
the big sideburns
and porn stash and stuff.
Look no further than Biggs.
Yeah. But no, I mean, but we have a lot to look forward to this year. I hope to do more troops. Vader is just a warm day away from finishing painting. I'm just trying to be patient with my whatever it is, Duplicolor, $17 a can paint or whatever the Duplicolor was.
Hey, you bought automotive paint. It's not cheap.
It is nice though. I tell you what, I'm like, I bought the Montana Gold, and it's like $10 a can, and it's worth it. And that Duplicolor is worth it too. So I'm not going to complain. I hate to hurt Rust-Oleum's fault, but my clone will be in Rust-Oleum now.
They make good primer.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we have a lot to look forward to. Troops and get-togethers.
So one of my resolutions for 2023, in addition to reading a couple of the novels that I've missed, so I want to read one more of the High Republic novels. I definitely want to make sure I read Brotherhood. What was that? There's another one that I just recently picked up. I definitely want to read those, and I want to make sure that I want to submit to the 501st in 2023.
Yep,
so whether it's in my Tuscan or whether it's in my Pinto Din, I definitely want to get a submission into the 501st for this coming year.
Pinto Din is legs will hopefully be done soon. I've been having issues with the leg armor not wanting to stay on the print bed, so I'm going to try to print two together, so it makes a bigger piece. But Pinto Din is coming along quite nicely.
I hate that I just found out why it's called the Pinto armor.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool, right?
Because it looked like Brennan Wayne's the Pinto that his family had.
His first car.
Isn't he the nicest person in the world though? Like, doesn't he deserve it? And like when Zoe met him, like he gave her his number, and anytime, I'm just saying he seems like someone who deserves to be in the armor.
Because he doesn't seem to make it about him.
Yeah.
Like he gladly accepts the spot that he's in, and respects the fact that it's partially because of the fans, and takes his responsibilities and role very seriously, and has fun doing it.
Yep.
And shares that spotlight with the other folks who are under the helmet just like he was.
And it's also nice to hear that they listen to his thoughts on it. Because
they picked him because they knew that he was, he's the grandson of a cowboy,
right? But I'm saying, like, he told them, he give them notes, which says a lot about a company, that there's very few places where you can give notes to the people above you and they actually listen. Well,
unfortunately, rewind a few years, and they listened to Ray Park.
Yeah.
When they wanted to make that double-bladed lightsaber, he mentioned that it had to be, longer in order for them to be able to do those twists, around his waist that they wanted him to do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it just says something about the company and the people. But yeah, the Pinto armor, man, that's like I still keep eyeing. I keep getting the cosplay Sky and the other ads for the soft goods, and I'm like, I just got to pull the trigger here. I just got to pull the trigger. You know.
You should do it. Look, it's nice. It's really nice.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, that's what Justin Solnfeld wears under his. He is
Yep.
the Pinto armor, and that's what he wears. The cosplay. He's the one to give me cosplay Sky. So, and you know what cosplay Sky costume must be really good because the price is ridiculous. Is the Bo-Katan.
Mm.
You can't get the Bo-Katan, I think, for under like $160 or $170 right now.
What?
Everything's on sale except for the Bo-Katan, because it must be like so many people are using it to because it's what happened with the first run of the Mandalorian stuff when it first came out. So many guys were using it, they wouldn't drop the price.
Huh.
But yeah, that's a good resolution, man. 500 first. You would be in Northeast Remnant, I believe, in Jersey, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's a good one. That's a good group. We have the election coming up, so who knows what's happening in our garrison.
I hope our CO doesn't get voted out. I don't think anyone's running against him.
Well, that's good. Just listen, the good people in all the groups have to just be slightly vocal to you know, and just they don't have to be jerks about it. You just have to be vocal about the positive things and keep it going. I think our voices in my garrison just got quieted, and it's just hard to get it back, because now when you try to get it back, they're like, oh, he's just griping and complaining, so once you let them silence you, you can't like in our garrison, once you run, if you lose and you say anything, you're just disgruntled because you didn't win. Mm-hmm. That's what they say. Like you're just so. But that'll be cool. Then we'll all three be in a 500 first. I want to put in for Mando Mercs. I'll put in Mando Mercs so then I can be in the Mando Mercs.
Well, the cool thing about Din is you can do both.
Yeah.
See, mine's Rebel Legion. I want to do Rebel Legion.
The Rebel stuff.
I'm just going around in circles.
Well, no, but Rebel Legion, I could put my clone in.
That's true.
Because the clones, I remember when that whole fight was going on, because the Rebel Legion wanted the armor. You know what I mean? It was, and because Dooku
can now be in both.
Now it could be, yeah. See, now my push, besides all this stuff, my one resolution for 2023 is I want to try to get a May the 4th event together where I get teachers across the world to dress as a Jedi and teach their students that day. That's the one thing I want to start, mainly because, like, I know there's students that have tons of bigger problems, but there are tons of students that feel alone in whatever world they live in, whatever fandom they like, and they're afraid to let their weird flag fly, or whatever you want to call it. And it would be neat to have teachers who might slightly be uncomfortable in Jedi robes to show kids, look, if you really like something, just try it out, because if we live in a time that is in some ways is more understanding for everybody than it's ever been, but to children, they don't understand that. In middle school, every middle school student thinks everyone's watching them, and just be tried to. That's one of my pushes for 2023, because I need one more thing to do. And it just helps me get my job. If I can get Star Wars in my job, it just makes my job even better.
Isn't it fun when you can mix the two?
Well, who knows? By next year, John will be out in California, and then we'll have.
I've had some serious conversations about it. I'm not gonna lie.
So, and Zoe's working right now, but Safi and Zoe's one friend wants to be a filmmaker, and he went to school for a year, and he dropped out. He didn't drop out. He just took a year off, and he wants to move out to California. To just start at the ground level. And I got to have a talk with Zoe. I'm like, look, you guys got to talk to each other, because if you need to save X amount of money to get yourself out there, if you're going in as two, you both have to save half as much money.
Right.
And you go rough it in a loft apartment for however long, and chase that dream. So you never know.
And
I know all of you out in California.
There are enough stories within the Lucasfilm Disney stable where they started at this low level and look at where they are now.
Yeah.
So whether you're talking about John Knoll or Matt Martin or many of the folks who are behind the scenes.
Yeah. Again, it's just when you get to a certain age, it's harder to take those steps out. Like if I said to Missy, "Hey, I'm just going to pack up the car and go be a filmmaker," and that's not going to fly.
Right.
You have too many.
One of the other benefits is that this, as silly as this may sound, but as a youngster, you don't have nearly as much stuff to move.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I mean, we have everything in our house, plus we have everything in a 10 by 20 storage unit.
Well, plus as a youngster, you usually have someone else who will hold some of your shit until you get yourself established.
Yep.
So.
I'm taking my computer, my mattress.
No, John's thought about this way more than I thought. I was just saying this half joking.
Oh no. I have put way more thought. Computer, mattress, 1 3D printer, and my Monte Carlo. I'm selling the Corvette. I'm leaving the Camaro with my dad because it's also half his. So,
does he have the driver's half or the passenger's half? I wondered how that worked.
He actually has he's got the back seats.
Okay.
Well, actually, more logically speaking, he's got the engine forward.
Okay.
Because he blew the head gaskets on it, so he had to pay to rebuild the engine.
Okay.
So
you can't trust adults with things like that.
Well, no, but I'm saying so that's what I was saying to this kid and with Zoe, because Zoe has enough contacts out there and enough knowledge that if you go as a group, it just makes sense. But that's, I don't know, John, you might have to get a hold of Zoe and see what she's thinking.
Yeah. It's one of those things where the more I think about it, the more it's God, I really wish I want to do it so bad. However, then it's also I'm leaving everyone out here. I'd have to transfer to the what would be the Burbank, LA garrison out there.
There's a whole bunch. There's SoCal, and then there's the Bando Mercs. There's the SoCal garrison, and I forget what the Rebel Legion Sunrider base is. The Rebel Legion.
Well, the other piece is you wouldn't have to worry about that right away anyway.
Yeah, I would say if that's the only thing keeping you, then you should be halfway there by now.
Yeah, well, obviously
at least be at the Rockies.
The financial and the job.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's, to me, that stuff just seems secondary. It's I'll figure it out. But it's the personal thing is holding me.
The person raised in the 80s says, well, you need to have a plan. But I also know that the world is a different place in the sense, nowadays. So, but
the plans nowadays aren't as linear as they once were.
Yeah. Well, and I know Zoe's going out. That's for her. It's more just when, how many months is she going to be here until she gets all her, because she has people that are ready to give her, production assistant work. So that's not an issue. But it comes down to, you can't just show up with a backpack and a big smile, and you still got to have somewhere to live and, all that kind of stuff.
Hey, I'm not opposed to roughing it. here and
Well,
there.
you know, like I said, she's like, well, she found apartments in Koreatown between $700 and $900 a month for lofts. There's lofts with no kitchen. It's just a loft.
You need a microwave and a hot plate.
Dude, if you're a PA, a film PA has minimum 12-hour days. Like that's part of their law, because they didn't want people doing PA work and not making enough money, like just showing up for like an hour here, hour there. So what do you need if you're working 12 hours? Because Sal used to work on film sets. Sal's like, yeah, you just hit the crafts table and anything that's bagged and everything just goes in your pockets, for later. So, but yeah, so that's, 2023 could be a big year. I'm not going anywhere. I just moved one room to paint it, and I'm like, oh God, I'm never doing that again. I'm just painting around shit. There's going to be a paint. It's going to be the shape of Darth Vader's head. But if I have to paint these walls down here again, I'm not moving anything.
Not to mention you officially tanked the resale value of your house with the Millennium Falcon doorway.
Oh yeah.
How many people are you going to find that are going to be like, oh my God, I love this set piece.
I love this basement. Well,
you'd be amazed what you'd find on Zillow.
That's a good point. I saw a house on Zillow with urinals in the kitchen.
Oh well, see my house around here. I don't have an exit door for my basement, so nothing below the ground level counts anyway. Because if you don't have access to get out of your basement, it doesn't count in this area. Like you can't count it towards your square footage, and you can't count it towards your value.
Really?
Yeah. Because I don't have egress. I don't know.
How do you get down there?
I have stairs to go, but I don't have a way outside.
Oh, so you don't have.
So it can't be considered a finished. It can't be considered a living space. So like I'd have to either cut a Bilco door or cut one of those emergency exit windows on the back wall. Neither of which I'm going to do. So.
See, that's really weird logic, because an upstairs bedroom doesn't necessarily have egress to the outside either.
You can climb out a window if it's on fire and jump. You know what I mean? Like their logic is, if your house is on fire, you wouldn't be able to get out.
Gotcha.
So like you can't put closets in a bait. Like I couldn't make this a living space. Like I couldn't make this a bedroom. So I don't need any more bedrooms. So I'm fine with that. I need an armor room, because when I start displaying, I'm gonna have to rethink my plans, to putting stuff around. So, but yeah, we should have a good year. Let's get back to the year. We should have a good year with, like,
I'd like us to do one troop together, the three of us.
Yes, that's definitely.
I don't care what state it's in.
But Steel City has to I can't. Steel City has to just get like.
How about Aaron Scare?
I'd love to do Aaron Scare. Aaron Scare is definitely, or even I know. I'm trying to. Where is Rathacon still a con? It was in northern West Virginia.
I don't know. Is that like where the banjo festival is?
I have no clue. It was just, I went to a con there with the girls one time. It was a little tiny con, but there's tons. I just can't wait to see. There's like, we're just like at a blank point of cons. Like I'd love to do Awesome Con, but I think it's falling on when Celebration is. Now, if we don't go to Celebration, I might rethink Awesome Con.
That's in DC, right?
DC or Baltimore.
Okay.
One of those two.
Could always do the Mothman Festival.
Where's that?
West Virginia. Hold on. You don't know who Mothman is?
I've never heard that there was a Mothman Festival.
What? So I don't remember the name of the town, but in West Virginia, because the Ohio Garrison got invited.
Nice.
By the I don't remember what the West Virginia Garrison is. But yeah,
Mothman Festival.
Yes. So Mothman is a cryptid that apparently saved a town at one point.
And he's in Fallout. right?
And he's in Fallout, yeah. But yeah, so this one small town in West Virginia has a festival dedicated to Mothman every year.
I have a Mothman costume around here that I built Safi.
It's in Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Nice.
That's what it is.
There's a town called Hinton, West Virginia, that every time my one sister-in-law drives through it, she always asks Missy if she wants a shirt. And we're always like, Hinton is not Mike's real last name, so why would we want? And it's like the poorest, like I don't even think they're poor enough to be white trash. Like it's like the poorest town ever. No offense to Hinton people, but I don't want a Hinton shirt. You know, like if maybe if my last name was Las Vegas or something, it'd be different. But you know,
And Mothman Festival is in September, in case you're curious.
It is.
why can't
It's
they
the
do
first
stuff
weekend in September.
What we need more stuff in July. I know July's hot, but man, they do it on all, like when I go back to teaching, every weekend gets filled with nonsense. And then people want me to do the end fun stuff, and I have to do the school nonsense stuff. You know, these stupid jobs get in the way. I gotta hit the lottery.
See, that's why we make our own events in the summer, like
Yeah.
armor parties.
Well, see, we have Muddy Run. We have Muddy Run campground near here, and we should do something there because it's like we could even do like a 3-day our own little festival / film shoot because the one end of the lake looks like Andor. I mean, not Andor, Endor. Sorry, it has like the rock, the foliage looks Endor-ish.
Mm-hmm. We could definitely get Quinn.
Yeah, Quinn would do it. Though he graduated from college, he might be a big politician someday.
That's true. But DC's not that far.
That's true. Well, he'll be Pennsylvania. He was working for Dr. Oz, so I don't know if he might not go as well as he had planned.
Wait. Like
He was
Dr.
working at
Oz.
Dr. Oz's campaign for MPA.
Like the TV personality, Dr.
Yeah, he was
Oz.
running for senator in our state. Pennsylvania's screwed up, man. He doesn't even live in Pennsylvania. He
Is
lives
he
in
from
He lives in
Pennsylvania?
Jersey.
Huh?
Is he from Pennsylvania?
No.
No,
Oh.
well, he lives in Jersey.
We'd have to have a whole political show just to talk Dr. Oz.
Jesus
Which-
Christ.
given what they're giving us with Andor, not Endor, but given what
Yeah.
they're giving us in Andor, we could do an episode on the intergalactic politics of Star Wars.
Oh yeah. Well, I like
Actually, with that in mind, what do you think would be some fun episodes for 2023?
Well, How to Troop. That's on my. Is it a bucket list when you're doing it for the year? Bucket list seems like you're going to die soon. I never liked that.
We're going to put it on our to-do list, not our
We're going to
bucket list.
pencil it in. Pencil it in.
Yeah.
Trivia night 2.
Yeah, we got to do. I was going to do it tonight, and I just totally forgot. Trivia night.
When are we going to do the Star Wars debate club?
Oh yeah, debate.
Yeah, that's got to be on the list.
Because that could be at least 2 episodes.
I would like to see a debate. I would like to see the for and against just some of the old time. I say old timers, but all those things that set certain fans off. You know what I mean?
What grinds my gears?
Yeah, it just like just bring up any female character in Star Wars other than Princess Leia in the bikini and see what they say.
Should we do an episode just about the things that we hear other people gripe about?
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Because I've actually had someone say, and I'm not making this up. I know I've mentioned it before. I don't know if I've mentioned it with you guys, but I heard someone say that one of the things that they're most annoyed with related to the sequel trilogy is that they don't show bathrooms in the ships. They claim that these shows are supposed to be believable, but before The Mandalorian, there was never a bathroom.
I want to know where Star Wars ever said they were going to be believable. I would argue that Star Wars, as you get in the movie, they just try to make it like you could almost think George Lucas was just screwing with us. It just got further and further more unbelievable. You know what I mean?
Yes, a million times yes. I mean, all we have to do is say Chewbacca and Jabba.
Yeah.
You know, not to mention Ewoks and Hammerhead.
Well, not to mention C-3PO feeling pain because of sand. Who would build a droid that feels pain in the joints?
True, very true.
Matt Groening, Bender.
Well, yeah, but they're burning the droid's feet, and he's screaming. Like, come on, you know what I mean? Or, we all take Star Wars more serious than most, and we even see, like, you could pick apart plot holes and funny goofies, but that's not what it's about. There's an overarching good. Like, I still keep going back to the throne room scene in New Hope. The music and the feel of that is what Star Wars does for me. Every single, you know what I mean? Like, that's my benchmark for a Star Wars show. At some certain point, I have to feel like that to really like that show. And it's not
that triumphant, glorious kind of feeling.
Just the underdogs won. Now, they didn't really win because but they won one. They punched the giant in the nose and drew blood. You know.
See, I'll do you one better. My feeling for Star Wars is like how I want it to make me feel is the end of Empire. Like that you might have still lost, but there's still a light at the end of the tunnel. There's still hope for the future.
I was pissed at Lando at the end of Empire. So,
well, he also stole Han's clothes. So.
He stole his clothes, his ship, his girl, everything, his dog. Come on,
were they really Han's clothes or were they really Lando's clothes?
That's
from
true.
The beginning?
Yeah, but I don't think young Lando would have wore those clothes.
The blue jeans and the vest.
No, that seems. No, yeah, but I'm saying all the movies. If you look at the end of all the movies, if you look at the celebration at all those movies, there was like at Celebration. You look at Phantom Menace, the celebration, the parade. You know, you don't really get it in Revenge of the Sith, of course. You know, but it's just that triumphant joy of good. You know.
Well, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, you get the same kind of feeling that you did at the end of Empire. Where it's like, the bad guys won, but there's still hope.
Yep. Yeah.
Hope in the children of the next generation. The children are safe. These two children,
right, with
magic powers.
And then Obi-Wan went to visit his brother, who ran the cantina at Mos Eisley. That's his older brother. That's my headcanon. That's his older brother.
See, there are people that are saying that Cal Kestis is Obi-Wan's brother.
No, I'm going to think his brother was a loser. He was just like a bartender, like didn't know what he was doing. That's what you want. You want the famous person to meet his brother, and he's like remember Bill Clinton's brother was like.
How about Ronald Reagan's brother?
Yeah, that's what you want. Like, you want the brother to be like a nobody. You know, like they hunt down this brother and he's in his space trailer drinking space, gin.
Schlitz.
Yeah, Schlitz.
Spotchka or whatever
it's called. His shirt makes Dex's shirt from Dex's Diner look clean.
Hey, old buddy.
Obi-Wan. What do you know?
No, maybe his brother's a dishwasher for Dex.
Oh my God.
Well, it can't be a cook because Dex had a robot cook, I thought.
Right. He's the dishwasher.
Yeah.
So
we're getting off track.
I know. Well, it wouldn't be the show if we stayed on track. Come on.
That's true.
But no, I mean, the other shows, like I would like, I would like to do some more in-depth like trooping shows and maybe possibly get some more people from the 501st Rebel Legion. Like, what I'd like to do is do like 1 week someone from 501st, someone from Rebel Legion, Mando Mercs, other than us. I'd like to get Matt on more about his film, because I think the more we get him to talk, the more he'll get stuff done, and the more we'll get to be stormtroopers again.
Well, speaking, you had mentioned the idea of doing some filming stuff. What if we spend a little bit of time talking with Ned?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, Ned's got the gear. I mean, the legit gear to do all of that stuff,
yeah,
and he has an interest in Star Wars.
yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well,
You think?
and he might not be. He's what? Did you say he transferred?
No, he just stepped down from
Right,
his
so
formal leadership role.
he might need to scratch that Mando itch. You know.
Well,
Yeah,
I have this is something I think we should try and do at some point in 2023. I still think we need to do a live show where we're all three together.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
that would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that. Well, that's what we have to find a good con or something. But it has
Well,
like
what if we made it around the armor party? If we do another summer armor party,
yeah.
Yeah.
we could make arrangements where we I know it's not too far from me, but if John's coming in from Ohio, make arrangements where the two of us stay somewhere, and then so we don't
Yeah.
have to worry about traveling too far afterwards.
Yeah, or we just make the next armor party. I decided just from the last one to make it slightly more chill, even though we didn't get much done. But I gotta make it more chill for myself too. Just like where we can just like hang out and build. You know what I mean? Like because I like make a plan and stick with the plan, but also make a plan to relax too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And hopefully we don't pick such a hot weekend.
Oh my god, that's the first time. Like I always like, well, why do people say PLA melts? Man, that's the first time I've seen PLA just melt sitting there. Like I've seen it melt in cars, but I've never just seen it melt. Like just it's sitting right there melting. I just threw out one of the Mando helmets that was sitting in the garage because I couldn't bend it back. It was just, it looked like his armor after he was done with Mudhorn, but it was the face piece. So, yeah, definitely do a live show.
And with speaking of the shows, when Bad Batch comes on and the other shows, are we going to do a weekly catch up, or do you want to do it after each arc?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're probably going to want to talk about it anyway. But I think honestly, for me, I would like to see us talk about it, but I also don't think we're the type of show that just does a recap. There's enough recap shows of the Bad Batch that I don't know if we're the recap show of the Bad Batch. Other than what it means to us, like, because I know Zoe does like a recap, and that's good for her. I'm just not a recap. I don't watch things in that linear,
You watch them all out of order, just like
No,
take a minute and go backwards.
I think of things in I certain things I look for details when I watch certain shows. I really just look at least the first time. I don't really pick out little odds and ends about when I watch Star Wars. Certain shows I just watched that Glass Onion, and that was a beautiful show.
Huh?
You didn't like it?
I loved it.
And I loved, and that show I picked out stuff like the first time I saw it, and I was like, when he handed him the wrong drink, I was like, hey, he just handed him the wrong drink, and he's allergic to pineapple. And Zoe's like, what?
Yeah. Well, because a little tangent, because I had the same thing. When I was watching it, I was like, hold on, he handed him the wrong drink, and then they showed the flashback.
Yeah.
Like, wait a goddamn minute, that is not how that happened.
Yep.
So I went back and watched it again to make sure I wasn't crazy.
Yeah, it comes back to certain lines when he said he was allergic to pineapple in the movie. Like that's one of those things you don't just write that in for the guy. You know what I mean? Like it has to come back. Anyway. But yeah, I mean,
and that's tangentially related to Star Wars because it was done by Rian Johnson, so it counts.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I still think, and I said it last night's show, and I still think I hope Star Wars gets to the point where we just have a weekly Star Wars show and we don't know what we're getting. Because then I think we'll get more directors of different varieties. We'll get, 3 shows of The Mandalorian and 1 of Boba Fett and 2 of Han and this and that. And it just every week, just mix it up, you know? I mean, we're kind of, Hollywood is almost reverting back to the 1930s and 40s Hollywood, in the sense that it's becoming studio-based entertainment once again. You know, it used to be if you had a contract with so-and-so, you could only make movies with them, and, you know, and it's almost getting back to that, either on purpose or by mistake. Because if you look at all the people like Rian Johnson, you look at all the characters, half of those characters make other Disney property movies. You know, you had Guardians of the Galaxy, you had, you know, all those, you had Captain America in his first one, you know.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is just like word of mouth.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where it's like, hey, I really liked working with this director. Like, you should go work with him.
I think that's that whole business model, in the sense, just from what Zoe tells me and what Judah tells me, like being in the art department. If you're a good worker, they're going to use you. You know, you have nothing to fear. And there's very few industries where you're rewarded as much. I never thought I'd say this in my lifetime, but the entertainment industry, to a good degree, especially the behind the scenes, and I'm not talking like every person on top is the best person ever, but I'm saying a lot of that other stuff, it's the hardworking people that keep working, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe John will be one of them someday.
Here's hoping.
We'll be recording a year from now, and there'll be like rats going across John's, and he's like, "Look, it's we're just roughing it. There's like rats going across your screen."
Are you above a bowling alley?
Yeah. It'll be like weird sounds. Someone being murdered in your basement? No. It's a chicken. It's a chicken plant.
It's chicken fighting ring is what it is.
Yeah. Just ignore the illegal chicken. It won't be as noisy when they bring in the dog fights.
Yeah,
That's
every
only on Tuesdays.
Every 10 minutes, it'll be like you'll just hear like a random like crowd cheer. Be like, don't mind that.
Well, I will tell you that the LA area has the worst internet connection for doing podcasts. I'm just telling you that right now. Like it was a nightmare when Zoe and them started. That's another thing I'm thankful for 2023. As much as 2022 and going into 2023, as much as the pandemic was a nightmare, it did make podcasting so much easier. Like I think of all the advice I give you, Ken, when you started, none of that advice applies at all anymore post-pandemic. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, you need this and this, and you're going to have to call this. And like, nah, just get Zoom, you know?
Well, if we hadn't had those conversations, we would never have made it to the 27th episode.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. That is amazing. So, congrats on that.
And we're not done yet. So the folks that are involved are still interested in doing more.
Yeah, you have a good mix of people.
Yeah.
Here, before how long?
Well, speaking also of 2023, Dexter has once again said he'd be, love to come on your show, John. So just, send him a little note asking or giving him some dates that you might be available and make some arrangements with him.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I haven't done an episode since September.
Yeah, you got to get on that, John. You're almost like you're almost getting like the Karita cast. So.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to try and record something tomorrow to have out for New Year's Day.
Now, who was your 3D print student?
It's my friend from high school.
So, that would have been a good interview.
No.
Why not?
No. Her and I are too close of friends to do that.
Why not, though? Listen, the podcast pod stands for personal on demand. That means people can pick whenever they listen, but it also means that your listeners want to know you.
Are you making that up?
No, that's what pod stands for. Personal on demand.
Really?
Didn't you know that?
No.
That's where iPod came from. You got your music. It's personal. You choose it, and it's on demand whenever you want to listen to it. Podcast, personal on demand. You pick what you want, and you listen to it whenever you want. That's where the word pod comes from.
Doesn't the I kind of cancel out the personal?
No, I was just their logo. No, because it's your personal on demand. The I it's yours. So like
Shouldn't it be
it's hard,
my.
huh? The I is just their logo. Apple did not invent the podcast, right? But the word pod, and especially in the older stuff, it used to always be capitalized. Like it would be I, small I, and capital POD, or if you saw podcast, it would because it stood for personal on demand.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Bless you.
because I used to teach a
Thank
whole lesson. Hey, Ark's finally here. So when I used to teach, most of the stuff I taught, let me see. Okay, there we go. Most of the stuff I taught with podcasting, I threw out the door, but I used to teach and this was in 2006, I think, is when I started teaching podcasting. Most of the stuff I'd throw out the window. I would, because when we first started teaching podcast, it was almost taught like old timey radio. Like you should have a script and don't have any dead air time, and all this and you were supposed to have jingles and all this kind of stuff. So that part I'd throw out. But the basis of podcasting, I do a mini lesson on blogs and podcasts. My voice is very clear. I adjusted my mic, and I'm trying to speak in my broadcast voice. So I don't sound like Kermit the Frog. But yeah, because I had this mic must have been, I don't know. Anyway, but the key to podcasts and blogs, especially when they started out, was blogs. You were supposed to, if you were truly doing a true blog back in the day, you were supposed to be quoting other blogs. Like you would write your blog, and then you were supposed to find another blog that was similar, and that was the whole point of blogs, was to build this blogger community that kind of shared the same interests. And then podcasts was kind of growing. Podcasts were growing slower than blogs at the time because it was so hard to get your stuff on in 2006 or 7 or whenever, to get it onto a podcatcher. But you were also supposed to do the same thing. You were supposed to reach out to your fellow topic people, and somehow it got a little mixed up, and all these podcasters feel like they're competing against each other, and you're really not. You're just different voices of the same thing. Like people that like our show are going to like the other shows. They're going to like John's show, and they're going to like is that Anthony's show and Ken's show? I don't want to no, but Ken's show and Zoe's show. They're going to like those because it's a similar thing. And then you just kind of try to find ones that you like. That's the whole point of a podcast, like the personal on demand stuff.
So maybe that could be another thing that we do in 2023 is we get another podcaster to join us, whether it's, Steele or
Yeah.
Reach out to some of the guys from the Dad Batch.
Yeah. I could say something to the Dad Batch guys.
Because they could serve, the Dad Batch specifically could serve, two parts of that. The costumers, members of the 501st, and other podcasters. And with Steele, he could be one of our famous guests.
Yeah.
None of the three of us have been in a Star Wars. Well, you guys have been in a fan film, but
yes. Well, you were Clapper Boy. I was on Star Wars television for a brief second.
That's true.
Well, you were also in Star Wars Insider several times.
Nah, that was my girls. I don't think I was ever in it.
You sure?
You were. You had to be mentioned.
I don't know. I'll have to check. I might have been in one or two, maybe. I maybe. I don't know.
But you weren't in a show on Disney Plus.
That's true.
Yeah, where Steele Saunders
was.
But
Jordan and I had a long conversation of how he was trying to get that put on Disney Plus. So,
is there any talk about bringing that back?
There was. He actually, Jordan had a deal with Marvel. He was going to do a Marvel version of it. And then it got axed because Marvel's having a big upheaval with their upper management, and then the pandemic kind of shot our Star Wars stories to a certain point. So he may or may not, it just depends on, he's working with Discovery right now with whatever you call it. I don't know if he does season 3, he wants to do Safi. So I hope he does season 3.
I'll
So
tell him if he wants to make a trip to Ohio. There's a
Yeah,
nice
well, hey, man,
father-son
you know.
combo.
They went to Quarryville, Pennsylvania. So they'll definitely go to Ohio.
Maybe they should go to Maine where they could meet Ark's friend who has an inflatable falcon.
See that? I think Ark should just start a live action show from the inside the inflatable falcon. He could be our correspondent. You know, like you have a weather. We just, how's the falcon today? And he just bounces. It's bouncy.
Just like Ollie from Family Guy. How's
Yeah,
the falcon today?
Yeah.
It's
That's what I was
bouncy.
thinking of when I
Thanks,
said that.
Ollie.
And I would say an award show, but I gave that idea to your show. So I can't, I don't want to, you know.
Yeah, we could still do it. We could do a fan version of the award show. We could actually, because ours is going to be our voting.
We could do our award show based on costumes, just costumes, since we're all costumers.
Yeah.
And I would like to have more book talk, which means I'm going to have to read more. But I would definitely like to have more book talk.
You're gonna have to call Zoe to have her fill in for me. God, I bought 2 books today that
Did your hands burn?
Hang on, hold that thought.
I got this one for you, John.
Is that the DK reader?
It's the DK reader from the Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
It's level 4 reader.
It's Roge 1.
I just wonder because it's at the Dollar Tree. What'd you get?
I
have that book.
I know. I'm pretty sure you have both of these books, but I also got this one.
Oh, I don't have that one.
What?
I don't think I. Well,
that's a gorgeous book.
Oh yeah, I do. That's yeah. I probably never saw it. The girls probably took it before I got.
That book is on. Wait a minute, Ark. Wait, hold on. We need to pause here for a second. Read what Ark said. The falcon legit tipped over a vegetable stand.
Yeah.
You're lying.
I hope that's true, and I hope there's video of it.
Lies. Every day, more lies.
That would be just.
And how come that didn't make the local news?
Oh no! Unless he's just talking about unless it's unrelated. The wind is so like we were talking about the weather, and then he's.
So the stand flipped by itself and is not connected to the falcon flipping.
Right. I'm gonna picture it was connected to the falcon, but I don't think it was.
Headcanon.
All right. So, John, that book you got did you read the Jawa language?
I honestly I saw it at Half Price Books today, and I was like, I flipped through it to make sure the pages were in good shape, but I have not.
Yeah,
I've not read any yet.
The girls, when they were little, they loved that because then when they were Jawas, but it talks about the Jawa and the Tuscan language. I mean, it's not canon and all, but it's really good. Like the Jawas don't have certain numbers and stuff. But I always wonder, like, I got this at the Dollar Tree. Is this at the Dollar Tree because like it's missing a page? Like you'll read it and the last page is missing, and you don't know they blow up. You know,
kind of Elf.
Yeah, because you go into Dollar Tree and you see these things like you'll see Bibles and like are they missing like certain books? So like your whole religion is wrong because it's missing a book of the Bible. You know it misses it. They misspelled Jesus, so you start worshiping the wrong God or something. I don't know. Is that like how did the stuff get to the Dollar Tree?
I didn't know Jesus was spelled with a G. The next thing you guys have to get. Have you guys gotten the Legion book?
Which one's that?
So it's a book plus.
Oh, he's pulling it from the fireplace.
I know. Wait a minute. No, I've never seen that before.
This is fantastic. So it's a small hardcover book.
Is it when it says Legion? Is it like the 501st Legion?
It's just Legion. Actually, hold on. Let me turn my. Please don't judge me on how messy my space is. So it's this hardcover book, and inside it are all these different designs of helmets, and you
Oh.
also get a small vinyl helmet that you can decorate.
Oh,
That's
yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So what I was thinking we could do is at some point when your 3D printers need something to print,
I have a mold of that. I have a mold of that helmet.
we could make a small version of Din's helmet and then create our own creative takes on it and have our own little art gallery.
And
Because we could mold these, so it's like a rubber.
yeah,
But if
no, I took one of those and made it a full working replica of Stormtrooper helmet. I cut the eyes out, I cut the thing out, put teeth in, and I made it for one of Zoe's teachers one year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
No,
yeah,
that's a good idea because you know that. Oh, look at that.
Sorry, I cracked the plastic and I was thumbing through it.
That was that might not be a bad idea to get a bunch of those helmets and like give Anthony one, give Dex one. Like if we shoot for just to keep things that doable, shoot for like beginning of March to have X amount of helmets built, and we just give them to our friends. We send them out
and have them decorate them
and have them decorated, and then we could have
because I know the guys from. Have you ever heard of Star Wars in Character?
Yes.
They did an art exhibit they were involved with called the Artmore Project, and they took the legacy Boba Fett armor. So the 2 chest pieces, the chest diamond, and the ab plate.
Yeah.
And they had people decorate them, and they auctioned them off to raise money for charity.
When's Mando season 3 start?
Sometime in 2023.
March 10th?
Okay, so end of February, we got to shoot to have these helmets done. And everyone has their painted one done like the day before Mando comes out.
Or we could have one done for each week that the show is out.
Well, we have them done, but then we have them
featured.
Then we feature them every week when the show comes out.
Yeah, because you got to think there's 5 of us on the Rad Batch.
Yep.
The 2 of you, that's 7.
I give one to Zoe, that's 8.
Send one to Ned.
I give one to
Marty.
Dan,
yeah, you gotta give it to Dan. Dan's really good, but he's particular, so he'd have to have his early. But if we made a dozen,
it's March 1st is when it starts. So middle of February is more realistic.
All right, so let me see what files I have. It'd be nice if I can find a file that has the visor already in it.
Yeah,
like a non-wearable, because then then just print it. Because I can cast I can cast in dragon skin. That's an easy cast.
Yeah, especially because you don't have to make it so that you wear it.
Right. Okay, that gives me something to do.
As if you needed another thing.
No, but that's something I can do while I'm doing other things. I'm just trying to think: is there a Mando toy that the helmet's already that size?
Not that size, no.
Mm-mm.
Well, I'm looking at this stuffed Boba Fett I have. Right.
Uh-oh. Ken,
I
sent him.
I think that's smaller.
Sorry. Ken, as you know, my holy grail of action figures.
Oh, goodness.
There is a whole page for Prune Face.
That's awesome.
So this guy, right? I might have to go to the Disney store tomorrow and see if they have.
You don't have to get that from the Disney store. That thing in your hand?
No, I got that. I got that at Target for $5. But but I might stop by the Disney store and see what they have around that size. I'll print one. Either way, by tomorrow, I'll either have one in hand or it'll be printing on my printer. So,
if you find files let me know. I'll just
Yeah.
print my own. Save on shipping.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like I said, if I cast one, if I make it smooth and cast it, we're talking pennies of, we're talking a couple bucks to slush a nice smooth one. But yeah, I'll see what I can find. It, like I said, if I can't find one with a lens in it, I can just put a lens. I can just put flat plastic in it, glue it in, because it doesn't matter. You don't have to see through. You can't stick your head in it.
Right, but if you cast it, wouldn't it already have like a
Well, you got to
lens
put
in it?
something there.
You have to fill it. You have to fill it.
And I have
Yeah.
to, and I have to put it in. I have to make it look like a lens,
Mhm.
so it has to be smooth. But it can be any smooth surface. Like I can take a piece of, I don't know.
For sale sign.
I just bought a roll of Warbler at, which I've never used, at AC Moore. No, Michael's. For $53.
Yeah, I wouldn't use Warbler for that. I would just use something. I'd use a piece of Sintra or something.
No, yeah, I'll just use Sintra. I can use a piece of plexiglass. Clear. I have clear plexiglass. I just tape. I'll just hot glue the shit out of it and tape it in there. But I like that. Like if I do a small helmet, I could probably smooth it out using the liquid resin method.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's okay. That's a good plan. Well, because I could print a bunch, but if I print 10 or 12, then I have to clean up 12 print lines. If I just print one, clean it up, cast it. So
yeah, and the book is the set is called Legion, Star Wars Legion.
Well, they did a Vader helmet set years ago. Some famous artist did the life-size Vader helmets. And
well, Steve Sansweet had a whole bunch of those.
He has them. Yeah, they were all wound up. He has them. He had them displayed at Chicago. Was that Chicago?
I believe so.
Chicago he had them all displayed, and they were beautiful. Like Starry Night. The one guy, someone painted Starry Night over the whole helmet.
Now, okay, let me ask this then. Are we going for like an artistic style? Or are we going for like what would our Mando helmet look like?
It's up to personal interpretation.
Yeah, personal interpretation. So you might get someone who makes it perfect silver and puts some that, and you might get someone that paints half of it bright green, half of it yellow, puts some glue, some M&Ms on it. I don't know.
Get some macaroni.
Yeah, macaroni. Makes it red and gold. Hip hop Mando.
Yeah, you should look. You should on Amazon. You can look through some of the pages of it, and some of them are just absolutely remarkable. What they did with just that base helmet, and took their creative license and made some fantastic stuff out of it.
One, we used to have a charity, a group in Pennsylvania called Rebel Cause, and they helped the homeless in Lancaster. Caden Patrick, really nice guy, and him and I we talked about doing the mini stormtrooper helmets, and then his charity, the COVID kind of really messed up with the homeless. I mean, it really messed up his charity to help the homeless. Like the state came in and whatever, but we talked about doing something like that and having it like auctioned off to give money for his shelter and stuff. So, but yeah, that's just fun. That's just fun stuff for people. Because I wish you like those stormtrooper helmets. They were at one point you could get them at Ollie's for like $3.
Yeah, they had two sizes. They had the small one and then they had the bigger one.
Yeah. If we want to do a stormtrooper helmet, I'll just rip the stormtrooper off my 2 foot or my 4 foot tall stormtrooper, and I'll mold that.
Isn't that the Rebels one, or is that the
Force Awakens? It's the Rebels one. But I think my other one fell off this book or the bookshelf, and his head broke off. So very painful for him. But yeah, so that's. I mean, I'll work on that. That's. I mean, I just think for this year, we have tons of podcasts, and it seems like it's a good time to podcast. I mean, it's the positive podcasts are coming out. Like I'm not seeing the one Star Wars podcast that is not positive. popping up at the top of the list as much as I did for a while. So
yeah, and that's really one of the reasons why Anthony and I ended up putting together the Thank the Maker show, because when we were talking about it, there was just so much just bashing of Star Wars,
yeah,
which it just baffled me. I couldn't understand how that was happening or why it was happening.
yeah.
But now, to your point, there's lots and lots of positivity. And it's thematic. So you have this podcast that focuses on building armor, like the Dad Batch and Armor Party. You've got this podcast that likes talking about the novels and the comic books. And then you have ours who knows what we're going to talk about this week or next week.
Well, and I think we're going longer than we had planned right at the moment, but if we pare ours down to around an hour, I don't want to say an hour because sometimes you need more than an hour.
Yeah, I think 90 minutes for us is a good target.
Yeah, but I think that also helps us just be a better podcast.
We need to start saying we're gonna cap ourselves at like 45 minutes,
and then we'll get out at 90.
Yeah. No, it always seems like we're like, yeah, we're gonna 90 minutes, and then here we are at 100 minutes later.
Well, and I also think like when we're done here, whenever we stop the live, I do think a quick, like honestly, even if we did quick, like, hey, what are we going to talk about? I could just put it in the ticker tape. Or you know what I mean? I can just put it in the ticker tape. We don't need anything official. Is okay. Here's the 4 tickers we're going to do next week. So we I think that's a good way to go. I mean, looking forward for the year. I need to get my costumes done, Tuscan done. Just I try not to add new stuff, but again, I added a Mando to mine. And I just blame watching The Mandalorian too much for that. Because that armor looks good.
I'm still a sucker for the Beskar, but
Yeah, well, no, I like the Beskar too, but I'm just like there's not that many Pinto armor wearing guys either, because I have the file the Beskar one. I have the files that I can actually print and cast if I want to. Because I got those from 3 Demon. Mm-hmm. So, which I'm not 100% sure that some of these guys aren't getting their files from them and just calling them their own, because it is odd when I pay for files and they have the same exact name, like these have the same exact name and they're called Belt 1 and Belt 2, on the one I bought and the one I got from 3 Demons. So that seems odd to me. So someone copied somebody's,
Who's to say?
Well, they're all copies of Lucasfilm properties. So
exactly.
Hopefully Anovos. I saw the new Anovos is starting to sell the armor pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good sign. We'll see. I'm supposed to get this Sabine helmet supposed to ship in December of 2022. They're running out of time.
Well, hey, if you would have listened to Star Wars Geek Girl, you should have heard that there's supply chain issues with specifically the Sabine helmets.
I know that.
And they could be on a boat somewhere.
Right.
I think that's exactly what he said too.
Yep.
I know that. I'm just like, come on. Why does it have to be that helmet? Because I should have just taken a Din Djarin helmet.
But then you wouldn't get to make your own.
That's true. Which I'm going to be. I'll probably rip the inside out of this Hasbro one so my fat head can fit in it.
Well, you want to wrap tonight's episode up?
Yeah. So thanks for those who are listening. I don't think there's anyone. I don't know how this number works because it doesn't tell us who's on YouTube, but. We're going to call this one at what? We're less than 2 hours though. Right? That's like pretty short for us.
Yeah, none of us have to run away because of some emergency.
So let me first end the stream and then we can talk what we're doing next week.